Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Teton High Ground Gaming, Danimal here. Let's go ahead and get started with our quote of the day. Today's quote is from a self-development author and motivational speaker, Brian Tracy, and his quote reads, "It doesn't matter where you've come from, all that matters is where you're going." And what he's saying essentially is don't let past circumstances prevent you from achieving the goals that you're setting yourself for the future. Don't live in the past, don't dwell in the past. It's literally the biggest waste of time. Always focus on today and focus on how you improve yourself and how you accomplish your goals for the future. All right, so that's it. That's what I have for the quote of the day. For today's video, I'm actually going to do a tutorial on audio settings. I recently came across some audio settings that have really helped me get better spatial audio. So now I can hear footsteps above and below me a lot better. And even though I have a 7.1 surround sound headset and I was using Dolby Atmos, I just didn't feel like I was getting all I could out of the sound that the game offers. So sit tight and follow along for the video. Thanks a lot. All right, guys, let's take a few minutes and we're going to go through some audio settings and what I did to help improve the spatial sound, meaning especially with footsteps. I wanted to hear footsteps better above and below me, and I was really having trouble with it before. So just to start, I use a Rig 800 headset, which is a 7.1 surround sound headset, and I'm also using the Dolby Atmos app. I'm using an Xbox Series X as well. And while in the past I could always hear footsteps, they were usually kind of faint and I could never really tell which direction they were coming from. And I certainly couldn't tell if they were above me or below me. And I know that the game was supposed to have the ability to do that. And so I figured out how to make that work. And you go to settings and then down to audio. I made a couple of adjustments. First of all, on master game volume, I like to leave that at 100%. The one thing that made the big difference is right here under enhanced headphone mode, it was off. So I went ahead and turned that on. And I learned here through this note that it utilizes, embodies immersive spatial audio, right? And that helps increase the directional accuracy of sounds around you. And I never really knew this is how you change that. So going on here, when you look at enhanced headphone mode configuration, it brings you to this screen here. And I thought this was kind of unusual because I didn't know what this was at the time. So I went ahead and I scanned this QR code with my phone and an app came up, and the app had me turn on my camera and basically hold the camera towards my face and then move my head back and forth so it could scan the position of my ears based on the shape of my head. And it's supposed to use that information to help give you the best sound quality for your shape of your head and ears, I suppose. So I finished that. And then down here, it just said it was completed. And down here under Immerse Spatial Audio Profile, it was defaulted at Universal. And I didn't really understand what the difference was. So I went to personalized. And when I did that, I ended up buying the app for $20, which I guess, I don't know if it was dumb or not, but I guess by doing personalized, it used those measurements that it took of my head and ears to enhance the sound. I know that you could use Universal for free, but I think it's only for 30 days. I think ultimately that goes away from the time you enable it after 30 days. And then if you want to keep using it, you have to buy it for $20. And then you could also use the personalized selection here. So because I was impatient, I went ahead and just bought it. It's $20. All right, so did that. And then the next thing I did, and I learned this from going online, just doing some research on this, under audio mix, it defaults to the Treyarch mix, right? And the Treyarch mix, really any of these settings is really a change in dynamic range. And when you talk about dynamic range, just think about the loudest sounds in the game and think about the most subtle sounds in the game. So a wide dynamic range has all of it, but the louds are going to be really loud, and then the subtle sounds are going to be really subtle. So while that sounds great just from like an overall like immersive experience, I wanted to hear footsteps better. And footsteps tend to be on the lower end of the dynamic range. So we needed to bring those up. And the way you do that is you sort of compress or shorten or tighten the dynamic range of the sound. And the best one to do that for footsteps and other sounds I found is sucker punch. So I changed my audio mix to sucker punch, and this is the one I use. I also keep mute licensed music off because I do record and post my videos to YouTube, obviously on my Teton High Ground Gaming channel. So I don't want it to say, oh, we're not going to post it because you've used licensed music. So I keep that off. You could also use this asymmetrical hearing compensation. A lot of people keep this off, and that's fine. But just to give you an idea as to what this is, I'll go ahead and turn it on. And when you turn it on, if you've made any changes down below here, I should talk through this first. So I've turned it on, and then I'm going to go to configure frequency intensity. So when I go here, it allows me to change the frequency intensity of different frequencies. So for example, this left channel, I've been sort of playing around with some of these frequencies. These are the ones that I've moved it to. They're usually all default in the middle at 0, like this. But then you can change it if you want to. I was just sort of playing around with it, changing it. The reason why people do this is because most people don't have the same level of hearing in each ear. One ear is going to hear lower frequencies differently than the other, or higher frequencies or mid frequencies different than the other. So this allows you to go in there and do each ear individually to try to compensate for any discrepancies you might have with one ear or the other. So as an example, if at the 250 hertz frequency, I hear it nice and it feels low maybe on one ear and high on the other, I can adjust these settings to increase the decibel level of these frequencies. And I'm not going to claim like I knew this. I will say that I've actually learned this from another YouTuber who actually did a measurement on this. And while this scale goes from -50 on all of these sliders to +50, the decibel difference is 8 decibels. So every 25 points, if you will, on the scale is a 2 decibel difference. All right, so I'm just playing with this. It's totally customizable. There's no universal set to these figures, right? Not meaning like not everybody's going to use the same ones. It's going to be completely customizable. One thing that I wanted to note on this as well is when you hover over these, it actually gives you the tone in that ear. So you can say, okay, well, let me try level 50 at the 250 hertz section. I could hear it in the left ear on my headset, and then if I want to do it on here, I can hear it in the right ear. So I could tell which one needs to be modified up or down to balance that sound out. Okay. And I believe, let's see, those were the main things. I always reduce the tinnitus sound. So this is when they have like a flash grenade or a stun grenade or just a regular grenade, and it explodes, and then it does that ringing sound at the end. I can't stand that. So I always keep the reduced tinnitus sound on because I don't want to hear it. And those are all the settings that I'm using right now. I hope you find this useful. Go ahead and play around with them. I really think that you're going to need the sucker punch turned on if you're going to want to hear sounds above and below you. And I also believe that you're going to need to use the enhanced headphone mode as well. At least use the trial at first, see if it's something you want, and then purchase it later if you think it's worth it. So I hope you found this video useful. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them into the comments. Or if you have any questions or comments on the quote of the day, comment on those as well. And please do like and subscribe. Thanks a lot.